Taoist Dragonhead fell silent upon learning that he had not encountered the Divine Might Heavenly Sage. Impossible! Taoist Dragonhead was shocked. There was such an expert under the Divine Might Heavenly Sage? He suddenly felt glad that he did not go rashly and had a way to revive. Otherwise, he might have died in the Heavenly Tao. Seeing that he was silent, the divine-robed Taoist revealed a mocking expression. Even the Divine Authority Generals can't enter the Heavenly Tao. Who do you think you? Discover new Tories at VUBIN COR? After a long while, Taoist Dragonhead looked up and said, "Exalted God, have you made up with the Heavenly Tao?" He was not stupid. Thinking about it carefully, the divine-robed Taoist's tone was more like he was protecting the Heavenly Tao. The divine-robed Taoist did not say anything. "Why don't you introduce me to the Heavenly Tao?" Taoist Dragonhead asked. The divine-robed Taoist was stunned. "This fellow," Taoist Dragonhead said seriously, "since I can't defeat them, I'll join the Heavenly Tao. There shouldn't be an existence stronger than the Divine Might Heavenly Sage in the current chaos, right? As for the previous ultimate god of punishment, in my opinion, he's only SOSO. After all, the leader of the Divine Spirits doesn't dare to attack the Divine Might Heavenly Sage." The divine-robed Taoist asked expressionlessly, "So, why would you join the Heavenly Tao?" The divine-robed Taoist naturally had to think of a way to resolve it if this fellow wanted to scheme against the Heavenly Tao. Speaking of which, his help to Hanju was minimal. At most, he would inform the Heavenly Tao and take care of it. However, the Heavenly Tao itself had Hanju, and its rise was already unstoppable. Taoist Dragonhead felt that it made sense and agreed. "All right, I'll go to the three pure sacred world first." With that, Taoist Dragonhead turned around and left. Upon reaching the door, he suddenly stopped and turned his head to say meaningfully, "Exalted God, the primordial fiend celestial might be fake, but the great Tao immeasurable calamity is not fabricated. You should make plans early." With that, Taoist Dragonhead vanished. The divine-robed Taoist frowned. He originally thought that with the death of the chaotic fiend celestials and the leader of the divine spirits, the great Tao immeasurable calamity would not happen. After all, the chaos had already acknowledged that the primordial fiend celestial was only a legend. However, Taoist Dragonhead's words caused him to hesitate. This fellow was too strange. It was as if he knew nothing about the chaos and thought that he could challenge the strongest by attaining the great Tao. Could he have been in seclusion somewhere for nearly 1,000,000 years? Then, who was his master? The divine-robed Taoist frowned and fell into deep thought. In the void, Jiangjuesher moved forward quickly, his white clothes fluttering with the wind. There were no traces of him around him. It was as if time had passed. His temperament became more and more extraordinary. A dazzling universe appeared in front of him. Countless galaxies were dotted with starlight, as beautiful as a painting. Jiangjuesher was attracted by this universe. For some reason, he felt that something was beckoning him in this universe. He immediately accelerated. This universe was the universe of stars created by Hanju. He had been waiting for Jiangjuesher to take the bait. Jiangjuesher quickly advanced and entered the universe of stars. He wandered around, his sage sense sweeping through the universe. At the same time, in the center of the universe of stars, in the third arena, Liu Bei noticed Jiangjuesher's arrival. He stared at him with a vigilant expression. After all, this universe was newly developed and could not withstand the destruction of outsiders. Liu Bei could sense that Jiangjuesher was very strong and didn't dare to speak rashly. Besides, he didn't have to worry with Hanju around. He was curious about what Jiangjuesher would do. After wandering around the universe of stars for a period of time, Jiangjuesher found a place to cultivate in seclusion. Time passed. In the blink of an eye, Hanju's 100,000 years of seclusion arrived. He had long sensed Jiangjuesher's arrival, but he was not in a hurry. Instead, he headed to the second Dao field, released the newly born fiend celestials, and preached the Dao to them. 500 years passed. Hanju returned to the third Dao field. He walked out of the Daoist temple and appeared in front of Liu Bei. "What do you think of that kid?" Hanju asked. Liu Bei opened his eyes and was stunned. Then, he understood that Hanju was talking about the cultivator who had accidentally entered the universe of stars. "He seems to be a heavenly Dao life form too?" Liu Bei asked carefully. Jiangjuesher's heavenly Dao Providence was dense. After all, it had settled for more than 10,000 years. It was not so easy to dissipate it. Not bad. He didn't destroy the place wantonly. Instead, he found a place and entered seclusion quietly. He probably has a cautious and ascetic personality. Liu Bei deliberated. Hanju told him about his past with Jiangjuesher. Liu Bei was moved. "This child's talent is so terrifying?" Liu Bei asked, "What do you need me to do?" Hanju must have something to tell him. "You can befriend him and make him stay here." Hanju smiled. The spirit chi here was still too weak and there was insufficient chaotic chi. Jiangjuesher probably couldn't stay for long. Liu Bei immediately agreed. Hanju sent a wisp of his will into the tree. "In the future, just say the word when you enter or leave." This will was especially responsible for letting Liu Bei in and out. "All right," Liu Bei replied and watched him leave. He finally had a hint of understanding of the power of creation after hundreds of thousands of years. Everything was difficult at the beginning. Hanju was very excited and felt that there was hope of breaking through to the mid-stage of the Great Tao Supreme Realm. More than 3,000 years later, the evil heavenly emperor sent you a dream. Do you accept? Hanju opened his eyes and silently chose to accept. The evil heavenly emperor rarely looked for him unless there was something important. Hanju was secretly looking forward to it. Would he ask for help? Very few could match Hanju in the current chaos. It would be a beautiful thing if he could show his divinity. The dream was still the forest outside the Jade Pure Sacred Sect. The evil heavenly emperor saw him and smiled. "How have you been?" "Not bad." "What is it?" Hanju went straight to the point. The evil heavenly emperor was secretly puzzled by his attitude. The head of the divine spirits has perished. He created the primordial divine clan. This race might threaten you. Hanju said, "That's it?" "No, wait. Why did the leader of the divine spirits die?" The evil heavenly emperor rolled his eyes. "Stop pretending. You must have known long ago. If I didn't know who killed him, I would probably think that you did it yourself." Hanju shook his head. "How is that possible? The 10 million year promise isn't over yet." The evil heavenly emperor said, "I came to find you today because I have something to ask of you." Hanju's eyes lit up. "What is it?" Hanju asked patiently. He blamed the evil heavenly emperor in his heart. "What's our relationship? Do you have to beat around the bush?" The evil heavenly emperor said, "I'm preparing to explore the chaotic domain. I already have a goal. However, this domain has a powerful restriction and needs the help of a great Dao sage. I only know 2 great Dao sages. One is suppressed and the other has disappeared. I can only look for you." Speaking of this, the evil heavenly emperor sighed. Hanju said, "Summon me." "All right." The evil heavenly emperor did not say anything else. The dream ended. Hanju opened his eyes and asked in his mind, "Will I die if I help the evil heavenly emperor? 300 billion years of lifespan will be deducted. Do you want to continue?" "Continue." "No." "Safe." Hanju was relieved. In any case, he had left his will in the Taoist temple. He could be revived even if he died outside. The question just now was mainly to consider if he would provoke a great Tao supreme existence. But it shouldn't be from the question's value. The evil heavenly emperor used the invocation technique to summon him several days later. A black vortex appeared in front of Hanju and he stepped in. In an instant, he arrived in the chaos. He stepped out of the black vortex and saw the evil heavenly emperor. Beside him stood a man in silver armor. His aura was oppressive. The evil heavenly emperor immediately smiled upon seeing him. He cupped his fists and smiled. "It's my honor to have the divine might heavenly sages help." Behind the two of them stood rows of heavenly troops. There were at least 10 million of them. All the immortals of the heavenly court looked at Hanju in reverence. The name of the divine might heavenly sage had long spread throughout the chaos. He had killed 20,000 divine authority generals with a single strike, which was equivalent to 20,000 great Tao sages being no match for him. Such strength was considered unique in the eyes of all living beings. He was even regarded as the strongest by many cultivators. He was so powerful that even the rules could not restrain him. Hanju said, "You're still talking about these formalities. Could it be that His Majesty wants to flatter me?" The evil heavenly emperor smiled. "I have no choice. The divine might heavenly sage's name is too grand. I don't dare to be impudent. Let me introduce you. The person beside me is called the War Buddha, a Buddhist spirit from the Buddhist world. He's Chu Shuren's disciple and also your grand disciple." Hearing this, the silver-armored man beside him hurriedly bowed very respectfully. Hanju glanced at the War Buddha and said, "Your potential is not bad. I'll teach you a mystical power after this matter is over." "Thank you, heavenly sage," the War Buddha said excitedly and hurriedly bowed. "Oh?" Hanju raised his eyebrows and looked unhappy. The War Buddha was stunned. "Thank you, Grand Master." "WA." Hanju finally smiled. The heavenly troops behind them were in an uproar. They didn't expect the divine general to be the divine might heavenly sage's grand disciple. Hanju turned around and looked at the void ahead. He already felt a powerful restriction that even ordinary great Tao sages would probably find difficult to break. He used the simulation trial and did not discover any powerful enemies. "How is it? Can you break it?" the evil heavenly emperor asked with a solemn expression. Hanju didn't answer. He just took out the primordial judgment sword and slashed out. Without the sword chi, the void in front of him was instantly slashed into two. A white light split the darkness into two. Immediately after, it began to shatter with the white light as the center. Boom! Space shattered and violent winds wreaked havoc. The great Tao lightning was extremely domineering. Hanju raised his hand and easily blocked all the wind and lightning for the heavenly court. The space ahead began to collapse as seven-colored light burst forth. Hanju narrowed his eyes and looked over. A world was revealed after the restriction shattered. This world was vast, 100 times larger than the entire heavenly Tao. Boundless vitality spread out, making one intoxicated. Hanju scanned with his sage sense and discovered countless living beings in this world, but no sages. The strongest was only a Zenith Heaven Golden Immortal. There were many Zenith Heaven Golden Immortals, but they did not transform. They were like ferocious beasts walking on the ground. That's right, the legendary first world of the chaos, the evil heavenly emperor said excitedly. Hanju glanced at him in surprise. Although the immortal world is not the first world, with the rules of the heavenly Tao, it has already surpassed the first world of the chaos. Hanju asked, "How did you find this place?" The chaos had countless such restrictions. Under normal circumstances, even great Tao sages did not dare to rashly barge in. They were probably the Tao field of other great Tao sages. How could the evil heavenly emperor predict that there was no Tao field behind the restriction? The evil heavenly emperor smiled. "Of course, I was guided by an ancient existence. However, I can't tell you this ancient existence's name." Nan. Hanju's expression didn't change, but he was shocked. Could it be the chaotic consciousness? "Thank you, heavenly sage. There's no need to trouble you next. In the future, the heavenly Tao's chaotic heavenly road can also be expanded here and teach the living beings here." The evil heavenly emperor smiled. Hanju nodded and stepped into the black vortex. A beam of light flew out and entered the War Buddha's forehead before he disappeared. The black vortex disappeared. Hanju had already returned to the third Tao field. He sat on the mat and first used the simulation trial to check his surroundings. He was only relieved after confirming that no mysterious existence followed him to the Tao field. Hanju asked in his mind, "Who told the evil heavenly emperor about that world just now?" 1 quadrillion years of lifespan will be deducted. Do you want to continue? Tao Creator. Continue. Formless transcendent deity, cultivation unknown, chaotic deity, above order, transcends everything. Unspeakable name. It was actually not the chaotic consciousness. Hanju frowned. He asked, "How many Tao creators are there? Could it be that there were 7 like the supreme rules?" 1 quadrillion years of lifespan will be deducted. Do you want to continue? Continue. 5. Hanju was deep in thought. 9th chaos, chaotic consciousness, formless transcendent deity, and 2 unknown existences. It was not many, but it was not few either. Furthermore, the 5 of them had already escaped the chaos. All living beings didn't know this. Hanju asked again, "Be it in the chaos or outside, is the 9th chaos the strongest existence?" 100 quadrillion years of lifespan will be deducted. Do you want to continue? Continue. For the time being. It should be now. Hanju set a goal to surpass the 9th chaos. The ceiling was right in front of him. However, the 9th chaos was not his ultimate goal. He still had to break through to the Creator Lord realm after surpassing the 9th chaos. He wanted to constantly rise to newer heights. Hanju was excited just thinking about it. Wait. The formless transcendent deity told the evil heavenly emperor about the number 1 world of the chaos. Was he going to interfere in the situation of the chaos? That had to be the case. Hanju asked in his mind, why did the formless transcendent deity help the evil heavenly emperor? 1 quadrillion years of lifespan will be deducted. Do you want to continue? Continue. Hanju wanted to see what the formless transcendent deity was scheming. With that, Hanju entered the illusion. He opened his eyes. It was absolutely dark around him. A light suddenly appeared ahead. The light became brighter and brighter. Hanju looked carefully and discovered that the light came from the glabella of a majestic figure. He couldn't see the other party's face clearly and could only see his figure. He seemed to be wearing a robe and sitting in the darkness. Formless transcendent deity? Hanju was secretly shocked. He couldn't see the other party's true appearance even after spending a quadrillion years of his lifespan. At this moment, Hanju suddenly felt a movement behind him. He turned around and saw a terrifying figure 10,000 times larger than the Buzhou Divine Mountain behind him. This figure floated in the void. He raised his left leg slightly and placed his palms in front of his chest. However, There were countless arms behind him, with as many branches as a huge tree. Hanju couldn't see his true appearance, either. The primordial fiend Celestial has yet to be born. Perhaps a variable will appear in the Great Tao Immeasurable Calamity. I think so, too. I've decided to release the Heavenly Ruins Divine World. Perhaps the primordial fiend Celestial will be born from it. Yes, that's settled. That evil Heavenly Emperor can use it well. It's also a fortuitous encounter for him. Perhaps he can grasp it. The two transcendent existences chatted for a while before the illusion shattered. Hanju opened his eyes. Although he had said little just now, he had revealed a lot of information. The Tao creator seemed to want the primordial fiend Celestial to be born. Hanju had no intention of telling the evil Heavenly Emperor about this. The difference in cultivation level was too great. The more he knew, the more dangerous it would be. The evil Heavenly Emperor definitely knew that the other party had ulterior motives. But just as that transcendent existence had said, although the evil Heavenly Emperor was being used, it was also an opportunity for him. If there was no formless transcendent deity, the evil Heavenly Emperor could only cause a small splash in the chaos and not cause a storm no matter how much he struggled. The evil Heavenly Emperor who had obtained the Heavenly Ruins Divine World would definitely rise after the formless transcendent deity's guidance. Hanju stopped thinking. The current him was not qualified to scheme against a Tao creator. He had to reach the Tao creator realm first. Primordial Chaos Zenith Heaven Golden Immortal, Freedom Primordial Chaos Realm, Great Tao Primordial Chaos Realm, Great Tao Supreme Realm, Tao Creator Realm. Every realm was the difference between immortals and mortals. Time passed quickly. 300,000 years passed in the blink of an eye. The immortal world had also changed drastically. Countless races and cultivation were prevalent. To all living beings in the immortal world, Zenith Heaven Golden Immortals were no longer illusory. At the very least, they were existences that they could often hear about. Below the immortal world, the number of mortal worlds had already reached 100,000. The number was still increasing. Without the immeasurable calamity and with too many Providence sects running rampant, only by creating a mortal world would it be easiest to obtain great providence and merit. Under the rule of Li Xianao and Han Zuetian, the hidden sect still maintained its original rhythm, powerful and low profile. Hanju stayed in the third Tao field. The disciples of the 100-peak Immortal River and the second Tao field didn't disturb him, so his cultivation was very smooth. He suddenly opened his eyes one day. His gaze passed through the universe and landed on a huge star. Jiang Jueshe and Liu Bei were discussing the Dale. At first, Jiang Jueshe was wary of Liu Bei. However, he let down his guard when he discovered that Liu Bei indeed had no ill intentions. Hanju was very satisfied with Jiang Jueshe. This kid had already reached the early stage of the Freedom Primordial Chaos Realm. His potential was indeed impressive. What he had to do now was to keep Jiang Jueshe by his side. It was not that one could survive in the chaos just because they had good potential. Otherwise, after so long, there would not be so few great Tao sages. Hanju looked at him for a while before looking away and checking his emails. Your good friend Loudon was attacked by the Fiend Celestial Vengeful Spirit, X78203932. AAS. Your disciple Tao Sovereign was attacked by the Fiend Celestial Vengeful Spirit, X9082761. Your good friend Evil Heavenly Emperor has grasped the providence of the Heavenly Ruins Divine World. Your son Han Tuo has grasped the Divine Authority. His providence has increased greatly. Your good friend Yi Tian has grasped the Divine Authority. His providence has increased greatly. Your good friend Zhou Fan refined your enemy, 7 Tao Sage, into a divine weapon. His cultivation has increased greatly. The evil heavenly emperor was so fast. He had fused with the providence of the heavenly ruins divine world so quickly. The formless transcendent deity probably helped him. Further down, Hanju was attracted by Zhou Fan. What was this fellow doing? He checked his interpersonal relationships. 7 Tao Sage's portrait was still there. He had not died. Hanju pinched his fingers to deduce and discovered that Zhou Fan didn't face resistance when he refined the 7 Tao Sage. It was the 7 Tao Sage's idea. He suddenly couldn't understand their relationship. After thinking about it, Hanju still sent a dream to Zhou Fan. In the dream, Zhou Fan opened his eyes and immediately bowed when he saw him. Without waiting for Hanju to speak, Zhou Fan took out a long weapon. The 2 ends of the weapon were like truncheons, and 7 thin patterns surrounded it. They meandered on the body of the weapon, looking very mysterious. Master, this weapon is the 7 Tao divine weapon. I refined it with the 7 Tao Sage and it contains the power of 7 great Tao. How about that? Zhou Fan asked proudly. This was a dream. The 7 Tao divine weapon was only a phantom. Its power couldn't be seen. Hanju asked, why is 7 Tao Sage willing to let you refine it? Zhou Fan said, he's afraid of you. Not only is he afraid of you, but he's also afraid of other existences. He decided to change his identity, so he helped me. Help you? Zhou Fan was very pleased. Hanju didn't want to discourage him and asked, what do you plan to do? Zhou Fan left with the Great Tao Tower and continued to wander the chaos after the Divine Authority generals were destroyed. Zhou Fan replied, I don't want to be like Chu Shuren and create a world. I also don't want to be like the evil heavenly emperor and recruit troops and attack everywhere. I want to explore the chaos and spread my reputation. Hanju said, how can you cultivate by wandering around? Zhou Fan chuckled, the stronger the Great Tao Tower is, the stronger I am. Hanju didn't ask anymore and prepared to remove the dream. Master, I recently obtained information from the Great Tao Tower about the primordial fiend Celestial. Do you want to know? Zhou Fan leaned forward and asked mysteriously. Hanju raised his eyebrows. Go ahead. Zhou Fan said, the primordial fiend Celestial is fake news. The chaos is really afraid of another existence. Some supreme existences want to nurture the primordial fiend Celestial to resist him. Who is the other existence? Hanju asked. Did Zhou Fan want to keep him in suspense? This kid had really grown up. Sensing Hanju's dissatisfied gaze, Zhou Fan hurriedly replied, I'm not sure, either. Anyway, there's such an existence that needs the primordial fiend Celestial to resist it. Hanju was deep in thought. Could it be him after his bloodline evolved? If nothing went wrong, his primordial fiend Celestial bloodline would evolve and definitely affect the future in a few million years. Hanju asked in his mind, is the other existence Zhou Fan mentioned to me after my bloodline evolved? 10 quadrillion years of lifespan will be deducted. Do you want to continue? Continue. Yes. I see. Hanju secretly heaved a sigh of relief. When he evolved, he would directly let his youngest son be born and intercept the position of the primordial fiend Celestial. This way, the chaos wouldn't give birth to a second primordial fiend Celestial. He would have one less potential enemy without a second primordial fiend Celestial. Perfect. The more Hanju thought about it, the happier he became, but he remained calm on the surface. He asked, the Great Tao Tower is so powerful. Are you sure you can control it? There are no other transcendent existences behind it? Have you thought about who created the Great Tao Tower? The Great Tao Tower could even predict the future changes caused by a Great Tao Supreme. It was indeed not simple. I've also been worried about this, but currently, I've already fused with the Great Tao Tower and don't sense anything amiss. Besides, how can there be no danger? Any opportunity is like this. As long as one is too powerful, they will definitely be coveted by mighty figures. Zhou Fan said seriously, Master, don't worry. I know what to do. I'll definitely look for you if I really encounter trouble. He could hear Hanju's concern, so he answered accordingly. Hanju said, as long as you know. With that, he removed the dream. Hanju opened his eyes and muttered, I still have to focus on cultivation. He had already gathered 9 primordial fragments. He wanted to release his youngest son as soon as possible to prevent anyone from really transforming into a primordial fiend celestial. In the blue sky, layers of clouds and countless circular stone platforms floated in the air. Han Tuo, Yi Tian, and the other 3 great Tao divine spirits stood side by side on one of the stone platforms. They all looked in one direction, waiting for the arrival of the ultimate god of punishment. After a while, a black light descended in front of them. The ultimate god of punishment's voice came from the black light, I'm giving you a mission. Han Tuo cupped his fists and said, Leader, please speak. The other 4 also bowed. They were already used to their new identities as the 5 great divine punishers. All these years, the ultimate god of punishment had treated them well and had even taught them mystical powers. It was time to repay him. I want you to visit all the great Tao divine spirits. You can inspect whatever you want. You only need to walk around. The ultimate god of punishment's voice sounded again. Hearing this, the 5 divine punishers immediately accepted the order. The black light vanished. The ultimate god of punishment did not appear from the beginning to the end. Han Tuo and the others turned around and left. Nearly 400,000 years passed quickly. On this day, a notification appeared in front of Hanju. Detected that you are 5 million years old and your life has taken another step forward. You have the following choices. 1. Exit seclusion immediately and promote the reputation of the primordial fiend celestial. You can obtain a great Tao fragment, a heavenly Tao spirit stone, a creation spirit stone, and a primordial fragment. 2. Cultivate in a low-profile manner and stay away from trouble. You can obtain a great Tao fragment, a creation spirit stone, and a primordial fragment. This time, the system acted mischievously again. There was an additional reward on the first option. Unfortunately, Hanju wouldn't be fooled. He silently chose the second option. At this point, he already had 8 great Tao fragments and 6 primordial fragments. Perhaps his stellar primordial body would transform in another 3 million years. Hanju took out the creation spirit stone and fused it with a ball of fiend celestial chi. He finally saw the hope of breaking through after so many years of cultivation. The primordial world had yet to reach its limit. As the nebulous primordial chi in it increased, Hanju's supreme power kept increasing. He was probably at most 500,000 years away from breaking through. He was very satisfied with his cultivation speed. Look at the foolish sword sage. He was still at the early stage of the great Tao Supreme Realm. Hanju visited Divine Lord Peacock in his dreams. After Hanju attained the great Tao, the chaos finally gave birth to a new great Tao sage after so many years. It was obvious how difficult achieving the great Tao realm was. In the dream, Divine Lord Peacock opened his eyes and saw the pitch-black Hanju. He was immediately pleasantly surprised and hurriedly knelt down. He was secretly shocked. It was still so difficult for him to sense the legendary dream of the Dark Forbidden Lord even after reaching the Great Tao realm. Although it was a little slow, you succeeded, Hanju said with a slightly praising tone, making Divine Lord Peacock feel ashamed. Divine Lord Peacock hurriedly asked, Forbidden Lord, what do you need me to do? Just tell me. Hanju said, Cultivate for the time being. I'll preach the Tao for you. The great Tao realm can't be your end. With that, he began to preach the great Tao of extreme origin. Hanju controlled the time as he preached the Tao in the dream. It seemed like 10,000 years had passed, but only a day had passed in reality. The dream had already ended when Divine Lord Peacock opened his eyes. He was excited. On the other side, Hanju opened his eyes and started to check his emails. Regarding the rules of time, Hanju couldn't use them on himself or speed up the time process of the entire heavenly Tao. After all, the heavenly Tao didn't belong to him. Time was among the 7 supreme rules. However, the definition of time was different from what mortals thought. It was the same as the continuation of the power of creation. The transmission speed of the power of creation was still constant even if the mighty figures accelerated the time of their domain. Therefore, controlling time was meaningless to the mighty figures. However, time was very terrifying to all living beings who did not rely on the power of creation. The emails accumulated over 400,000 years were still very abundant. Hanju read them with relish. In short, the chaos was still peaceful. No major battles occurred. Hanju looked at the third Tao field after reading the emails. The universe of stars was still silent, but the third Tao field was already covered in flowers and plants, like a paradise. Hanju raised his hand and took out a ball of soul. It was the soul of Han Tuo's mother, Chingwaner. Hanju naturally had a plan now that he took out Chingwaner's soul. Good things should not go to outsiders. Moreover, Chingwaner would definitely think of a way to keep up with his immortality if she revived. Otherwise, what was the point of reviving? Hanju didn't lack women. Hanju began to use the power of creation. Chingwaner's soul was intact. She only needed to recover her body. That day, Chingwaner's body was created and she became an immortal emperor. Her body wouldn't be able to withstand her soul if her cultivation was lower. Chingwaner lay on the bed in white clothes. They were casually created by Hanju. She slowly opened her eyes, her gaze confused. Memories surged from the depths of her mind, causing her eyes to widen. Was I reincarnated? Chingwaner muttered to herself. She subconsciously raised her hand and discovered that she was not a baby. What happened? She wanted to sit up, but she accidentally broke through the Taoist temple and landed in the sky. What's going on? This spirit energy. Chingwaner widened her beautiful eyes and sized up her body in disbelief. She could feel a surging power in her body. She couldn't help but think of spirit energy. Although she was immortal in the past, she knew about cultivation. She looked down and discovered a Taoist temple on the vast mountain. After she broke through the top, it was recovering from an illusion. Could it be that I did not die? Chingwaner frowned and tried her best to control her body to slowly land. She carefully walked into the Taoist temple and asked, "Is anyone here?" Crack! The door to the Taoist temple suddenly opened. Unable to see the situation inside, Chingwaner became even more nervous, not daring to enter rashly. In the Taoist temple, Hanju stood up and tidied his clothes. If he had not reacted quickly, Chingwaner would have been lost. The Taoist temple was not brittle enough for an immortal emperor to destroy. Hanju waited for a while. Chingwaner had yet to enter, so he had no choice but to raise his hand and suck her in. Chingwaner couldn't control her body and was sucked into the Taoist temple. Terror and despair filled her heart. She subconsciously closed her eyes. When she landed on the ground, she opened her eyes and was stunned. Whose husband? Chingwaner shouted in surprise and rubbed her eyes. Hanju smiled. What? Are you still afraid of me? If not for me, who can help you revive? Chingwaner immediately put down her doubts and pounced into his arms when she heard that. Husband, am I dreaming? You really revived me? Also, why are you so young? Chingwaner kept asking. She had too many questions. Hanju pulled her to a seat and explained, I was in pain after you died. I wanted to wait and die of old age. I didn't expect to encounter an immortal and obtain the opportunity to cultivate. After millions of years of cultivation, I created a world and obtained a great opportunity before reviving you. Wait, millions of years? Chingwaner was shocked and looked incredulous. Hanju said, that's right. About 5 million years have passed. We're no longer in the immortal world. Chingwaner hurriedly asked, what about Tuar? Hanju remained silent. Chingwaner's face instantly turned pale. She asked with a trembling voice, he's already, right? After so many years, even immortals have to die. Hanju sighed. He's not dead. Huh? Chingwaner's tears stopped. Hanju said helplessly, he's still alive, but he's already grown up. He naturally won't follow me. He even has descendants. Chingwaner punched him and said coquettishly, husband, you're teasing me. Chingwaner was overjoyed upon learning that her son was still alive. She believed Hanju. After all, children had to grow up and live their own lives. She didn't stay by her parents' side back then, either. Tell me about your experiences over the years. Chingwaner pulled his hand and urged. Hanju said, let's talk about it in the future. Get used to your dermic powers first. Then, he began to teach her. Chingwaner's body was in its prime. In addition to Hanju, her 100 years of experience were not worth mentioning. Soon, she regained the mentality of a young woman and even acted coquettishly. A year passed in the blink of an eye. Most importantly, she knew that she and her husband could still rely on each other for countless years. She even felt like she was dreaming. On this day, the two of them put on their clothes and sat by the bed. Hanju said, all right, I should cultivate too. I need to cultivate in seclusion for 100,000 years each time. Don't disturb me if there's nothing important. You can wander outside, but you can only stay within a radius of 1,000,000 miles. This is my Dao field and is isolated from the outside world. You can't go out even if you want to. 100,000 years? Chingwaner was stunned. Hanju ignored her and closed his eyes. The reason he hid the truth from Chingwaner was that he couldn't be bothered to explain. Furthermore, he wanted to create a sense of urgency so that Chingwaner could cultivate in peace. As for Xinghong Shen, Xian Qingjun, and the other women, Hanju was not worried that Chingwaner would mind their existence. Back when the two of them were in the mortal world, Chingwaner had taken the initiative to take in a concubine for him, but he had rejected her. Time passed year after year. Chingwaner was a little impatient after cultivating in seclusion for a few years. Thus, she wandered outside the Taoist temple for a few days before returning to continue cultivating. She finally began to get used to the boring cultivation after 1,000 years. In the void, the 5 divine punishers stepped on the divine light and advanced. Han Tuo stood at the front and frowned. Etienne walked to his side and asked in a low voice, you seem to be uneasy recently? Han Tuo said, indeed. For some reason, I keep feeling a familiar aura, but I can't be sure who it is. He frowned. He had never felt this way. Could it be that your younger brother has broken through? Etienne asked teasingly. Back then, Han Tuo felt uneasy because of that mysterious younger brother and had no choice but to ask the evil heavenly emperor to question that unknown transcendent existence. He smiled and said, I wonder what realm my younger brother is at now. Etienne smiled. He's probably stronger than you. He can suppress you just by relying on his bloodline. Han Tuo did not agree. That's a good thing if that's the case. The other three great Tao divine spirits approached and asked curiously who Han Tuo's younger brother was.